Hey world, welcome to Brian A Law School. This is Town Hall with Brian. I'm your host today, Joyce Naga. With me is Brian Awuonda. Welcome to your channel.
Thank you.
Brian is the founder of Awuonda Foundation. He is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, a member of the Law Society of Kenya, a founding partner of Brian and Brian A Advocates, a founder in Advocates in the Body of Christ International, and an alumni for Young African Leaders Initiative. Such an impressive bio. So, Brian, tell us more about yourself.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you for this town hall. Basically, you've read 3/4 of who I am, and the only quarter which has remained is Brian Awuonda is a born-again Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ, simply because Jesus Christ is the only deity who rose from the dead and who guarantees us propitiation as well as forgiveness of our sins. And that is why I love and follow Jesus Christ. Yeah, thank you.
So, Brian, tell us more about where you were born, where you were raised, what type of family you come from, where did you go to school?
Good. I was born in Kenya. Kenya is a country in East Africa, and specifically in Nakuru town on the 13th of January, 1988. That is when my mother brought me into this lovely world. I went to school in Moi Primary School, just in Nakuru, and then went to high school in Sacho High School, a school which was founded by the former President of the Republic of Kenya, Daniel Arap Moi. May his soul rest in peace. After high school at Sacho High School, I joined Moi University. I tried a couple of courses in Moi University. I tried to check in medicine, it didn't work. I tried to check in civil engineering, it didn't work. I tried government political science and administration, it didn't work. So a year into Moi University, I quit school and went back into the family business since I did not know what to do next. So after a year at home in the family business, I came across a brochure for Kabarak University, which was starting a law degree program. And in consultation with my mother, I enrolled in Kabarak University as the pioneer law student and alongside 10 others. And it was a good ride. I excelled. I graduated top of my class in law. And after Kabarak, with an honors degree, if I may add, after Kabarak University, I joined the Kenya School of Law, where again I excelled in the advocates training program, ready for admission as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Yeah. My family
So
is.
let me take. Sorry, can I want to take you back a little bit from where you were struggling to know which course to do. At what point did you know that you were meant to do law and not any other course?
Yeah, actually, after staying home for a year or so, my mother had me arguing with some friends about football and politics just outside our compound. And in her view, she saw that I'd been a good lawyer since I fronted spirited arguments and all that. So she came and just whispered in my ears, "You should do law." And just like that, she planted that seed, and I evaluated my strengths, and I saw indeed I can do law. So that is how I decided to join Kabarak University for the law degree program. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us more about your career journey, your first job, how you got into practicing law after school.
Yeah. After the Kenya School of Law, I joined the firm of Kaplan and Stratton Advocates for my advocates training. Kaplan and Stratton Advocates was the largest legal practice in Eastern Central Africa at that time. And my direct supervisor was Senior Counsel Fred Ojiambo, MBS SC. After Kaplan and Stratton Advocates for a year, I joined Githiru and Company Advocates in Nakuru. At Githiru and Company Advocates, I was given the position of associate partner in charge of the litigation department. wherein I excelled for a year as well. After Gadiru and Company Advocates, I joined the firm of Wamasa, Masese and Nyamwande, which is a legal practice founded by the Chief Justice of Kenya, David Maraga. And it was a privilege to share, or rather to sit in the exact same office that the Chief Justice sat in. So I excelled as well. I had also the position of associate partner in charge of the litigation department, wherein I excelled as well. And after that is when, after a year in that firm, if I may say, I felt like I had done enough. I felt a void in my heart. I felt the need to do more. My career had taken off well. I drove a beautiful car. I lived in a posh apartment. I had good salary. I had a good social cycle. I had everything going on for me. But still, I felt a void. I felt deep inside me there was some emptiness. So on the March of 2018, I quit my job. I may say without a plan, but the pressure to work was just too much. So I just quit my job as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and decided to venture into acts of service, teaching children their rights and duties, rehabilitating street families, and planting trees in the fight against climate change.
So how did your parents take that, you quitting a job? Did you have a plan on what's next? Did you have an idea what you wanted to do? So how has that journey been?
Yeah, honestly, it was a bit heavy for my parents and from my family because I must admit for once, I did not prepare them for it. And also I must admit, though the vision was clear in my heart, it was not clear for the world. Because no one knew how I'll fend for myself, not even I myself. No one knew how I will maintain my lifestyle. Since now I had to sacrifice my good salary and come into acts of service without even expecting any pay. So the more I tried to explain that God will provide, this is God's work, I'm doing God's work, and God will provide in his own way, just like he provides for the birds of the air, and that we should not worry about tomorrow, the more it became difficult for someone to understand. So for my parents and my family, they felt like I made a rash decision. I did not consult, I did not plan them, and yet they had invested heavily in my life, in education and whatnot. So it wasn't easy for them at first. Yeah. And as well, it wasn't easy for me as well, because after 5 months down the line, I lost my house, I lost my car, I lost everything that I had, because now I couldn't maintain my lifestyle. There was no salary, there was nothing. So I ended up sleeping in my car for 2 weeks. I ended up sleeping in a tree house in the Menengai forest, which I had built when I was rehabilitating the street families. I ended up also living with a friend of mine after that for close to 3 months. So I must say it was difficult. It was difficult. Yeah.
So currently, what are you doing? Have you gotten back to your feet? Would you say that the journey or the path that you took has been worthwhile? Has it paid back? Do you have any regrets?
Most definitely, the journey has paid back. Most definitely, I have no regrets at all. And you know, progress is not always visible. The world wants to see you driving a good car. The world wants to see you living in a luxurious house. The world wants to see you splashing money here and there so that they compute that you are doing well. But for me, I must say, I am back on my feet. I have never been out of my feet. I have always been on my feet because I have never lacked. I have never lacked anything. God has provided for me in miraculous ways. I am back in practice, practicing in the firm of Brand and Brand Advocates, a firm which I founded. And this firm is at the forefront in the fight against climate change, wherein I undertake climate litigation, as well as environmental conservation activities, as well as fighting for the rights of the children, the elderly, the women, the youth, and whatnot. Currently, my operations are in Kenya and in Rwanda, and I don't regret at all. If the hand of time will be wound back, taken to the position of quit my job and start acts of service, I will definitely do the same thing. Yeah.
So you've said that you're doing climate litigation. So why climate? Why focus on climate as a
Yeah. because the
as a
world
special
would,
thing?
pardon?
Why focus on climate and not any other
Yeah,
specialization? Why climate?
yeah, because as it is said, we have no planet B. We only have planet Earth. We don't have an alternative to this planet. And this planet is being destroyed by the day. This planet is facing difficulties in climate change, deforestation, and all that. The calamities that are happening naturally in this world can be stopped, and can be stopped by individuals, by individual effort and collective effort. Furthermore, when God created the world, He put man in the world, or humanity in the world, to take care and conserve. So for me, I find it conserving the environment, fighting for the rights of the environment is a bigger task than myself, in that, it is said we have borrowed this world from the future generations or from our children. So when we leave this world a better place, our children will find a better place to live. So if the world is healed, everybody else is healed. If the world is fruitful, everybody else will be fruitful. And that is why I chose to fight for the climate.
So, what has been the highlight of the journey? What has been the best moments or the
Well,
best time?
Well, as it is said, for every defining moment that you create in your life, it is not worthwhile if your family and friends are not there to see. And for me, the highlights of my journey have been when my friends and family have been there to celebrate my graduation. When I graduated from Kabarak University, top of my class. The highlight was again when my family and friends were there to celebrate my admission as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya in the Supreme Court. And above all, the highlight of my journey has been through the thick and thin that I've been through the ups and downs I've been through, I'm still alive. I've made mistakes. I continue to make mistakes even up to now. Some haunt me, some don't haunt me, but the highlight of this journey is that I am still alive regardless of it. So I have the chance to work on myself and to be a better person every day.
So, what has been also the lowest points of this journey, of your whole life journey?
The lowest point, admittedly, is when I lost material things back then when I was working on the philanthropic works. But I came to realize, in fact, those things were just materials, just vanity. They are here today and gone tomorrow. So that low moment turned out to be a bundle of joy. The other low moment was when my family was traveling to the United States for my brother's wedding, and I could not join them because of my work rehabilitating street families. I remained back in Kenya alone, and it was very lonely, though just thank God that He was my comfort and my strength all along. Other low moment was when my girlfriend booted me or left me because her dream husband was an advocate, not someone who plants trees, rehabilitates street families, and teaches children. So when I made the move to quit my job and delve into acts of service, my girlfriend left me. And those are the ones that I can say really affected me. But as of now, I am healed. I forge ahead, God above all.
So you had mentioned that you and your family were having issues in terms of when you quit your well-paying job to do humanitarian work. So currently, how is the relationship with your family members?
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a meeting, had a series of meetings where I tried to demystify to them what I'm doing. I tried to offer them evidence of what I'm doing. They even read about what I'm doing in the Daily Nation newspaper and in the Standard Media Group's newspaper. So with time, they began to warm up to it. With time, they began to understand what I'm doing. And currently, my relationship with them is good, is great. We spoke about things, we buried the hatchet, forgave each other for where we might have rubbed each other's shoulders in the wrong way. And right now, they're supportive. My mom is supportive. My dad is supportive. My siblings are supportive. And they respect my decisions. I respect their decisions, and we keep in touch. We have a family chat every now and then. And yes, I can say I thank God for restoring my relationship with my family. For family is your support system, and you are the support system of your family. and family is everything. So I thank God for it all. Yeah.
Also, you have discussed of how you started several initiatives back in Nakuru town, in your hometown. So I want to ask, what is the current state of those initiatives that you started here in Kenya, and what kind of transformation have you brought in the vulnerable groups or the people who you are engaging in those initiatives?
Yeah, I began a few initiatives in Nakuru. The first one was building an arboretum at the Menengai forest as we rehabilitate street families. And indeed, the arboretum is up and running right now. It is being managed by the Community Forest Association of Nakuru town, and it is generating income which is changing the lives of the street families and the community around the forest area. I also mentored a few children, teaching them their rights and duties, creating them to be teachers of other children. And these children are doing very well. I get positive feedback from their parents. And in fact, on June 16th, 2020, which is this year, on the Day of the African Child, these children were invited by the county government of Nakuru, and they represented the children of Nakuru government, of Nakuru County, in the celebrations of the Day of the African Child. I also rehabilitated street families, 6 boys at MSA, 4 of whom totally rehabilitated, moved into households. Some moved back to their homes and reconciled with their parents. And that to me was a win. That to me was a victory. With the meager resources that I had, with the limited support that I have, God came through, and indeed, life is a blessing.
So with that impressive information in bio and history of your life, what would be your last words in terms of how would you encourage young people who are listening to the channel, who are in this self-discovery process, who are trying to figure out what to do, who haven't yet gotten employed? What would you advise them?
What I would advise you is, if you're not employed, you're looking for employment, without fail, be creative. God closes some doors so that you can be creative. You have everything that you need to answer the journey of your soul. The first point is to understand why you're on this earth. Find your purpose. Once you find your purpose, you will find your dream. Create something. Be patient from the word go. Put money in the back burner. Put material things in the back burner. Do not do things for money, but rather do things for the good of others. Everywhere you go, do good. You know, as they say, philanthropy is the cure for vanity. So at the end of the day, we are trying to seek God's mercy upon our lives. We are trying to seek God's goodness upon our lives. So be creative. And if you are stuck in a job which you do not like, if you are stuck in a job which is draining you, I will just advise you to change that job. Yes, you need a plan. Yes, sometimes you may have a plan. You might not see how things are going through for you. But all I can just say is this: when you are afraid to do something, do it afraid. It does not mean that I was not afraid when I was quitting my job. It does not mean that I was not afraid when I was going through the mistakes and the life lessons. I was afraid, but I did all these things afraid, with the hope and with the belief that God is my guide and He will never leave me or forsake me. And indeed, He has never left me nor forsaken me.
Okay, thank you, Brian, for the inspiration. We're gonna end this session from here. From me to you, keep watching. This is Brian Elo School. Thank you.
Thank you.